Yo, what is up? This is DevineYGO, and gonna be doing a deck profile on Warrock. Y'all already know it's the Warrocks. It's the boys. We played this deck to go unga bunga, and yeah, I don't know this. I don't know what I'm saying. Anyways, yeah, gonna be doing a deck profile on Warrocks. I haven't actually done a Warrock deck profile on this channel before, but I have actually like dabbled with it for like the longest time. You'll see on the channel that I've done a couple of videos on Warrocks, and my deck profile on Warrocks has actually gone through a lot of changes. But yeah, I'm gonna be showing you guys what I have built right now, and what I think is potentially one of the best pure builds you'll see. And I'm probably completely wrong or incorrect, but I've been seeing some decent success with this deck and with this build specifically. I've taken this to 2 locals. One was a back to duel tournament, and another event I took it to was just a regular locals. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys, in terms of win-loss ratio, I didn't necessarily do that well, but the fact that I was actually able to compete and keep up with other decks out there, it just proves that Warrocks aren't exactly a deck that people can take lightly in terms of going up against it. And some examples of other decks that I've gone up against, I've played against Invoke Dogmatica Shaddoll, and that was without the addition of the new Warrock spell card, Warrock Medium. And I took that player to game 3. And then I've played against Prank Kids, also took that player to game 3. I've played against Eldritch, Trap Eldritch, and honestly, I found out that this deck actually doesn't have that bad of a matchup against Trap Eldritch, because the Trap versions of Eldritch, they play a bunch of like floodgates, and floodgates, like, for example, Rivalry. Rivalry does not hurt this deck because all of our monsters we're running in here are warriors, or all these, at least all the main ones we're running are warriors. Goals in match is useless for them because most of our monsters, like 99% of our monsters are earth. If someone flips up summon limit on us, I'll be dead honest, we can get by with just 2 summons. I've been able to beat heroes. I've played against heroes for like a few games in a row, and I've been able to take consistently most of them. And yeah, this deck is just like, as much of a meme it is, like I'm not gonna lie, this deck is still very much just a meme. But if your opponent doesn't take this deck at least a small bit seriously, you can just absolutely surprise them and run over them with this deck. At my locals, I've also been able to win. I actually won the round against an Ignister player, and I think he just got caught off guard because he managed to get out the Arrival with I think 4,000 attack. And my turn, I actually got lucky and drew into my Kaiju and just Kaiju'd it. And then my turn, I just ended up attacking over the Kaiju, getting rid of it, and doing big damage. And I'm not going to explain the entire game, but going into game 3, it was super funny because he made me go first, and I had a bad hand for, I mean, Warrocks doesn't have a good going first hand unless you build it to be that way. But basically, my end board for turn 1 was Summon Forsha and equip with a equip spell, which you guys will see in the deck later, and Warrock Mountain, and I think 2 set cards. During my opponent's turn, he Twin Twisters my 2 set cards, and then activates Mystic Mind with the most cockiest slight grin I've ever seen. Honestly, like when he activated Mystic Mind, I kind of just chuckled to myself. And the fact that he had to resort to Mystic Mind to play against Warrock, again, kind of funny. But at the same time, I understand that Ignisters can actually main deck Mystic Mind anyways, because you just summon Arrival, sit on a 4,000 plus attack towers with Mystic Mind. And honestly, if he just waited a little bit, he potentially could have won that game and the match, but he got a little hasty and started doing stuff. He crossed out Designator his own Mystic Mind from the deck, summons out Dark Infant, adds the island, and then gets rid of his face-up Mystic Mind for island. And as soon as he did that, at this point, I think he did like 3 summons, 2 or 3 summons, can't remember. And then I was able to draw into a specific card called Summon Limit, and I flipped that bad boy up as soon as he got rid of Mystic Mind, and his smile and his whole vibe just completely shut down. And it came back to my turn, and I ended up just pretty much putting out too much damage, and Summon Limit hurt him too much, and he couldn't really do a whole lot, and he just ended up scooping. And yeah, we took that round, and surprisingly we took that round. But yeah, anyways, without further ado, I'm sorry for this long intro. I just wanted to give some examples of some decks I have played against with this deck specifically, and yeah, to kind of give you some background knowledge on how well I've been doing with this deck. But yeah, anyways, let's go ahead and just get into the deck profile. Okay, so first of all, we're playing triple copies of Warrock Forsha. So I imagine there's going to be a lot of you who do not know what these cards do, because just about 90% of the, maybe like 99% of the players that I've played against, they did not know what any of these cards do. So Warrock Forsha, basically, if your Earth Warrior monster battles any of your Earth Warriors, after damage calculation, you can add a Warrock, Warrock card from your deck to your hand, and then all Warrock monsters you currently control gain 200 attack until the end of your opponent's turn. And so the cool thing about Warrock Forsha, and well, not really Forsha, but just Warrock effects in general, yeah, they only activate during the battle phase, and yeah, they only activate during the damage step. But the cool thing about that is your opponent cannot Ash Blossom Forsha. Because Forsha searches a Warrock card during the damage step, Ash Blossom cannot be used because it negates an effect, whereas you need a card that negates an activation in order to stop Forsha. Another thing people could do is, before entering battle phase, during your main phase, they can activate Valor and target the Valor or Imperm target the Forsha, then that would work. But if they let you go to battle phase and Forsha or one of your Earth Warrior monster battles, after damage calc Forsha effect, your opponent can no longer really do a whole lot. There's very limited things that your opponent can do to interact with that effect activation. And also this goes for the rest of the other Warrock monsters that activates during the damage step. So yeah, just keep that in mind. It's really good, not gonna lie. That effect is actually pretty good. But anyways, yeah, Forsha is a level 4 Earth Warrior, 1700 attack, 1700 defense. And then we're playing triple copies of Warrock Gyarados. So Warrock Gyarados is how we spam the field, and it's level 4 Earth Warrior as well. So if an Earth Warrior monster is normal summoned to your field, you can special summon this card from your hand. And before I go on to his next effect, I want to show the next card we're running. We're playing one Warrock Wento. So this card is really not that good. It's not horrible, but it's not great either. Because what Wento does is that if your Earth Warrior monster battles an opponent's monster, during damage calculation, quick effect, you can pay 800 life points. Your battling monster gains 800 attack until the end of that turn. 1800 attack and defense. And so going on to the secondary effect of Gyarados, all three of these, Forsha, Wento, and Gyarados, the level 4s, they all share the same secondary effects, where if they're sent from your monster zone to the graveyard by an opponent's card effect, you can special summon one level 5 or higher Warrock monster from your hand or deck. So it's a really nice effect to float into your higher level Warrocks. So pretty much, for example, like for Forsha, if they don't want you getting the search effect off Forsha during the battle phase if they attack into it, and they decide to just blow it up instead with a card effect, Forsha lets you float into one of your big boss monsters. And I mean, same thing with the rest of these, but yeah, that's just an example. Float into one of your big boss monsters, and that's actually thrown off my opponents a lot, because Yu-Gi-Oh players don't like to read. And we're also just playing one copy of Wento and not more, and I didn't cut her out completely either, because personally I wanted access to more level 4s, so I just threw in one copy of Wento, and plus I wanted another monster that could float just like the rest of these. Then I played one copy of Warrock Orpus. This is one of the monsters that came out on release for Warrocks back in Blazing Vortex. So Orpus is a level 5 Earth Warrior. If you control no monsters or all monsters you control are warrior monsters, you can normal summon this card without tributing. And if your Earth Warrior monsters battle, after the damage calc, quick effect, Orpus can dump a Earth Warrior from deck to the graveyard. And yeah, that's pretty much all it does. And all Warrock monsters you currently control gain 200 attack. The next monster we run is one copy of Warrock Mahmood or Mammoth. It's another level 5, and it has pretty much the same summoning conditions as Orpus. If you control no monsters, or if all monsters you control are warriors, you can normal summon this card without tributing. And Mammoth's effect is that if your Earth Warrior monster battles, after damage calc, quick effect, you can target a spell or trap on the field, destroy it. And again, that's really good. That's a really nice effect because, again, it happens in the damage step, so your opponent cannot negate that effect unless they're negating the activation. And for example, if you have multiple effects or Warrock effects on field, for example, like if you have these 3 and an Earth Warrior monster battles, you can actually chain block in the chain to make sure that your opponent doesn't negate a certain effect. And then on to the next cards we run are 2 copies of Warrock Basileos. So this is my boy Broly. I like to call him Broly because he look like Broly. Literally got the same hair, same body, almost the exact same clothes. Excluding the giant axe in his hand and the giant cape. But yeah, this is basically just straight up Broly from Dragon Ball. So Basileos is actually pretty cool. Can actually help you go for games sometimes. So during a battle phase in which your Earth Warrior monster battles, so if one of your Earth Warrior monsters has battled this turn, quick effect, you can activate this effect. This card can attack directly this turn. Also, all Warrock monsters you currently control gain 200 attack until the end of your opponent's turn. And another thing is that while this card is in your hand or graveyard, when your Earth Warrior monster is destroyed by battle, you can special summon this card, but banish it when it leaves the field, and you can only use each effect of Basileos once per turn. And then next, we play the other boss monster, probably the better boss monster. 2 copies of Warrock Meteoragon. This card is literally the GOAT for this deck. So many of my opponents had issues with this card and could not out this card. So Warrock Meteoragon, it's a level 7, and it's got a really neat effect. So Warrock Meteoragon cannot be destroyed by an opponent's card effects. So that in itself is absolutely amazing. Just having protection at all is amazing. And when an attack is declared involving this card and an opponent's monster, you can negate the opponent's monster's effects this turn, as well as the activated effects and effects on the field of monsters with its same original name. And by the way, this effect right here is not once per turn. And if you guys don't understand what it means, that effect, basically, for example, if our opponent has a Sengen and Meteoragon attacks into the Sengen, if you activate Meteoragon's effects to negate the Sengen, Sengen will get destroyed. Sengen will attempt to activate Engrave, but because Meteoragon negates that monster until the end of the turn, Sengen's effect Engrave will not go off and it will be negated. And before I give another example, let me go ahead and read his other effect. So once per turn, this is the only once per turn effect that Meteoragon has. During a battle phase in which your Earth Warrior monster battles, quick effects, you can make all Warrock monsters you currently control gain 200 attack until the end of your opponent's turn. Also, this card can make up to 2 attacks on monsters during each battle phase this turn. So basically, if you use Meteoragon, swing into, I don't know, let's say a Sengen, activate effect, negate the Sengen, and then use Meteoragon's effect again to boost himself up by 200, Meteoragon can make a secondary attack on another monster. And onto another good example of why Meteoragon is so good. So, in Heroes, we all know that Heroes right now is the only deck that can easily bring out DPE. And we all know DPE, it's a very strong card, can continuously blow up cards on both sides of the field, and it can also keep reborning itself. Also in Heroes, they'll have like a bunch of heroes in grave, so it'll make our monsters lose 200 attack times how many monsters or how many hero monsters they have in grave, and that's usually a lot. But the thing with Meteoragon, if DPE, so for example, DPE cannot use this effect to destroy Meteoragon, so that's already a plus. And if Meteoragon or DPE fight, Meteoragon can actually negate the effects of DPE, boosting Meteoragon back to his original 2600 to whoop that DPE. And then once DPE is destroyed, DPE can no longer activate its effect to reborn a Destiny hero from the graveyard during the standby phase because of Meteoragon's effect. So, kinda insane, not gonna lie, kinda insane. So the next card we're actually playing is, of course, the one Pankratops. I mean, this is a going second build. Probably should have mentioned that at the beginning of the video, but yes, this is a blind going second build. So obviously we want the Pankratops. If our opponent's got some nasty back row or like a face-up spell trap that's hindering us from doing anything, yeah, we can use Pankratops, just pop that thing. And then we're playing triple copies of Gameciel, which threw the Ignister player off guard when they summoned a rival, and then I just gave him Gameciel instead. He was not too happy, but you know, I like playing Yu-Gi-Oh, so we use things to help us play Yu-Gi-Oh. Onto these spells. So we're playing triple copies of Warrock Mountain. You have to play triple copies of this. This is like your heart and soul of the deck. When this card is activated, you can add one Warrock monster from your deck to your hand. At the start of the battle phase, if you control no monsters, or all monsters you control are warrior, you can special summon one Warrock monster from your hand with a different name than the cards you control. And then Mountain also has another effect. If your warrior monster would be destroyed by battle, you can send this card to the graveyard instead, and you can only activate one Warrock Mountain per turn. And yeah, so that battle protection, it's pretty cool. And then next we play triple copies of Warrock Medium. So Warrock Medium is it's an interesting card. It's a very, very interesting card. It's kind of like a pseudo trash Warrock version of Mystic Mine. But in all honesty, it's really not that bad. It's actually pretty good. And it's actually helped me win a few games. While your opponent controls a special summoned monster, and you control a level 7 or higher Warrock monster, during main phase 1, neither player can activate the effects of monsters on the field. So, simple enough. Your opponent controls a special summon monster. We control a level 7 or higher Warrock monster. During either of our main phase 1s, none of us can activate monster effects on the field. So Warrock Medium has another effect. During your main phase, you can set one Warrock spell or trap directly from your deck, except Warrock Medium. Also, you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of this turn, except warrior monsters. So, just about everything we play are warrior anyways, so yeah, that doesn't really matter. But Warrock Medium, being able to turbo out Mountain, or turbo out any of our other Warrock spell or traps that we need, honestly makes this deck a lot more consistent and faster in setting up our Warrock board. But yeah, this card's amazing. I've seen some people play this at 2. I'll be dead honest, you can get away with playing just 2 if you really wanted to, but I think I prefer 3 because I think this is a 43 card deck. I'll double check after I show the rest of the cards, but I believe this is a 43 card deck, so I didn't mind running the third medium at all. Next we play triple copies of Warrock Dignity. So this is a quick play spell. You must control a Warrock monster to activate either of these effects. The first effect, when a monster your opponent controls activates its effect, negate that effect. And then during the battle phase, when your opponent activates a spell, trap, or monster effect, negate that effect. So pretty much during any other phase, excluding the battle phase, this is just a monster negate. And then during the battle phase, this becomes an Omni negate. So it's pretty cool. But again, you do have to control a Warrock monster to activate any of these effects. And honestly, I do like that. I know some people in the past were kind of upset and a little annoyed that you had to control a Warrock in order to use this effect, and they were saying like, oh, like Warrock is already a trash deck, why you gotta limit it and restrict it with oh, you have to control a Warrock. Honestly, I really like the fact that you have to control a Warrock because it makes Dignity an exclusive Warrock card, meaning only Warrocks can play it. Because imagine if it didn't have that requirement. This just becomes a really good generic negation card. And yeah, we can't have that. We can't have that. We gotta have some dignity here, you know? Next, we play one copy of Warrock Spirit. So this is the Monster Reborn for Warrocks, but it's a quick play, which makes it even better for Warrock specifically. So during the battle phase, so this is where it gets a little trash. You can only activate this card during the battle phase. So when you activate Spirit, you can target one Warrock monster in your graveyard, activate one of these effects, special summon it in attack mode, but for the rest of the turn, its effects are negated and it cannot attack directly. Or you can special summon it in defense position. And for the first time, each Warrock monster you control would be destroyed by battle this turn. It is not destroyed. So it brings back a Warrock monster and can also protect your other Warrocks on field. Spirit, I like it at 1, but I did really enjoy it at 2, but just can't make the room for it. So, and then we do play one copy of Warrock Ordeal. I know most Warrock decks were playing Warrock Ordeal at 1 anyways, or they just completely cut it out. But with the addition of Warrock Medium, this actually makes Ordeal a bit more viable. Well, not even a bit more, a lot more viable. Because you can use Medium, set the Ordeal, and then just flip it up. So what Ordeal does is that you can only control one of them. And when this card is activated, you place 3 counters on it. And each time your Warrock monsters destroy a monster your opponent controls, you can remove a counter and draw a card. And this is not a hard once per turn effect. If you can destroy 3 monsters that turn with a Warrock, you can remove all 3 counters, draw 3 cards. So yeah, it's pretty good. And if the last counter has been removed by this effect, Ordeal does send itself to the graveyard. And then next, we also play triple copies of Pot of Extravagance. So this is actually what I've been trying to get my hands on for Warrock specifically, because Pot of Extravagance, I mean, you banish 3 or 6 from your extra deck, draw cards for each 3 cards banished. Warrocks, we barely use our extra deck. I'll be dead honest, we don't really need it. So Pot of Extravagance just gives us free draws. And then we got one copy of Rhoda. I mean, it's a warrior deck. Helps us search out our Gyarados, Wento, or Forsha. And then we play 2 copies of Dark Hole. I would be playing Raigeki, but I simply just don't have 2 copies of Raigeki. So I just play the Dark Hole. It's still really good. Helps break boards. 2 copies of Dark Ruler no more. Again, just here to break boards. 1 Harpy Feather Duster. I like mainboarding at least 1 Harpy's Feather Duster in just about any deck I play. You're always going to run into at least some back row that's going to be extremely problematic. So I like mainboarding at least the 1 Harpy Feather Duster in terms of just back row removal. And then I'm also playing 2 copies of Magnum Shield. So this is a tech that I decided to play in War Rocks. So it's an equip card. You can only equip this card to a warrior monster, and you apply effects depending on its battle position. If it's in attack position, it gains attack equal to its original defense, and vice versa. If it's in defense position, it gains defense equal to its original attack. And if you guys haven't noticed, so Meteor Gun, I mean, you guys won't be able to see it on the recording because its quality is horrible. I apologize. But Meteor Gun has 2600 attack and 2600 defense. They all the Warrock monsters, they have attack and defense that are equal to each other. So Basileos, 2700 attack, 2700 defense. Orpus, 2100 attack, 2100 defense. Gyarados, 1900 attack, 1900 defense. And yeah, so on, you guys get it. So Magnum Shield, basically in attack position, doubles their attack. In defense position, doubles their defense. And then to end the spell lineup, I gotta thank my boy Johnny for this. He showed me this card, and to me personally, this is an extremely spicy tech for board breaking. And we play 2 copies of Crossover. So Crossover, I'm not gonna lie, before my boy Johnny told me about this card, I had no idea this card existed. And when he told me about it, I was like, yo, that's actually kind of insane. So what Crossover does is that you target a face-up monster your opponent controls and 1 warrior monster you control. Equip the opponent's monster to your monster as an equip spell. And if you do, until the end of this turn, your opponent takes no damage from battles involving that monster you control. You can only activate 1 Crossover per turn, and while equipped, if your equipped monster would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can destroy that monster equipped to it instead. So not only does it steal our opponent's monster and gets it off the field, it also provides our monster with protection. So again, that's just insane. I didn't even know this card existed. And then to end the main deck, we do play 2 traps, just 2 copies of Warrock Generations. In some of my previous builds, I was actually running this at 3, because this card is it's actually pretty dang good, in my personal opinion, for Warrocks. So during the battle phase, if your opponent controls more monsters than you do, special summon 1 Warrock monster from your deck. And if you activated this turn during your opponent's turn, for the rest of that turn, while you control that face-up special summon monster, your opponent's monsters cannot attack except to attack that monster. So Warrock Generations is just another way to turbo out our Meteoragon. Most of the time when we activate Generations, usually it's to summon out Meteoragon just because it's so difficult to summon him if we don't have Warrock Mountain on field. But if your opponent has monsters that can easily just run over Meteoragon, what you could do is just use Generations, summon out Forsha in defense mode, and if they attack into it, you'll at least get a search off of it, and it blocks one of your opponent's attacks. So that's another thing you can do. But yeah, that's it for the main deck. Let's go on to the extra. Even though the extra deck does not really matter, there are some things in here that you can go into, and it really does help too as well. But anyways, so we're playing 2 copies of Ferocious Flame Swordsman. Y'all can't see that, there's a glare, so we'll put it over here. Actually, I'll go ahead and read it for you guys. So Flame Swordsman, it just requires 2 monsters with different names. All warrior monsters on the field gain 500 attack. And if this Link Summon card is destroyed by battle or by card effect, while in its owner's monster zone, you can target 1 non-Link warrior monster in your graveyard, special summon it, but banish it when it leaves the field. So summoning Flame Swordsman, if it gets destroyed, it can also help you bring back Meteoragon if it's in the grave. The 500 attack boost is also really nice. And then we're playing triple copies of Baguska. And the reason why we play triple copies of Baguska is because Extrav. And if our opponent makes us go first, Warrocks cannot play first very well, or at all. But, you know, if we open up our level 4s, yeah, if we open up like Forsha and Gyarados, we can normal summon Forsha, special Gyarados, go into Baguska, sit on Baguska. That's our best turn 1 play. I'll be dead honest with you. That is our best turn 1 play. And with Extrav in the deck, we want to be able to have at least 1 Baguska in the extra deck. So we max it out at 3 in case it gets hit off of the Extrav. Then next, I'm playing triple copies of Gaga Cowboy. This was just, I'm not gonna lie, this was just a meme cowboy for game. And the fact that it's an Earth Warrior, it synergizes as well in that aspect. Then next, we're playing 2 copies of Exo Sister Azaville. I'll be dead honest. I just threw this in just for the heck of it. I had a bunch of Exo Sister cards, and I wanted to play them, but I don't exactly have the Exo Sister cards that I need to play the Exo Sister deck. So we just tossed it in here, and it's not bad. I mean, you can it's not a quick effect, but you can detach a material from this card, target a monster your opponent controls, return it to the hand. So it's just a targeting non-destruction removal. That's pretty much all it is. And then we just play one Honor Arc. I mean, we play Extrav, so if it gets banished, it gets banished. We do got one Exciton Knight. I do want to play triple copies of Exciton Knight in case Extrav banishes it, but I just haven't been able to get myself 2 extra copies of Exciton. One Zubaba General. It's just filler, I'll be dead honest. But it's not bad. Once per turn, you can detach a material from this card, equip a warrior type monster from your hand to this card. This card gains attack equal to the combined attack of the monsters equipped to it by this effect. So Zubaba General can generally get pretty beefy. We play one Excalibur. It's just to become a 4K beat stick. And then we play the one Heroic Champion Clave Solish, however you say that name. So this card is here just to kind of help push for game in terms of like in a similar fashion as Utopia Lightning. And then onto the side deck, in case you guys wanted to see it, for the Back to Duel event and the for the locals. This is the side deck I went in with, and it honestly wasn't too bad. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of just threw a bunch of cards in together and built the side deck that way. So we got triple copies of Nibiru. I wanted to run this in the main deck, but I couldn't make room for it, and I just thought it was funny because Warrocks, again, barbarians, tossing a giant Nibiru rock on our opponent, kind of funny. Play one red reboot, Eldritch. I sided this in against Eldritch. Didn't draw it, kind of sucked. 2 copies of Anti-Spell. This actually helped a lot, but this also hurts us a little bit too, so that's why I just ran it at 2. Triple copies of Rivalry, triple D Barrier, triple copies of Summon Limit, because again, we don't generally need our 3rd summon. We can just summon 2 times per turn and we'll be generally okay. So the thought process behind building this side deck for my specific Warrock build was because the main deck itself is already like blind second. They just straight up blind second. So the side deck, I figured just put a bunch of going first cards and we'll be okay. I mean, excluding the Nibiru, that's obviously a going second card, but I'll be dead honest, I rarely sided in the Nibirus. Most of the time, I would just side in these cards right here, the traps, in case I knew my opponent was going to have me go first, or if I needed to go first to stun my opponent. But other than that, I feel like the reasonings for each card is kind of self-explanatory. Not really much needs to be said other than what I've said already. So yeah, this is honestly, I kind of enjoyed this side deck. Helped a lot, to be honest. Summon Limit helped a lot. D-Barrier helped a lot. Didn't side Rivalry in too much. Anti-Spell got sided in quite a bit. Red Reboot got sided in against, again, like I said, Eldritch, but again, didn't see it, so it was kind of useless. But yeah, that's my Warrock deck profile. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys' thoughts are. Again, I've been enjoying this deck a lot. It's been really fun to play. It's been really fun to make our opponents kind of panic and struggle against Warrock because they're supposed to be a meme. It's just funny. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this deck profile. Again, hope you guys enjoyed it. And it's DevineYGO signing out. Peace.